He talks a lot about peace through strength, but of course his UK and European allies might argue that he's bringing about peace by waging war or by threatening war in various places. So before the president left the White House for an event in Las Vegas, I asked him how he thought this ceasefire in Lebanon might be perceived across the Atlantic.
Mr. President, what message do you think the ceasefire in Lebanon? What message do you think the ceasefire in Lebanon sends to the UK and other European allies who chose not to get involved in the war?
Well, you know, we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO, and when I asked them to get involved on a much smaller situation, which is Hormuz and Iran, they weren't there for us. Remember what I said? They weren't there. None of them. They weren't there. So we were there on Ukraine. I mean, we shouldn't have been. It would have never happened if I were president. But nevertheless, when they've had problems over the years, we were there. When we asked them to get involved on a very minor skirmish by comparison to what it could be, they weren't there. So I don't think they'd be there for a large skirmish, and therefore I think they've got themselves a problem.
He can't stop talking to Sky News, can he, this week? I thought it was clever, David, and I am sure deliberate, that you got the Trump 100 microphone muff, the thing that goes on top of the microphone, right in the president's eye line as you spoke to him. I was disappointed that he didn't seem to clock onto it, though.
Yes, I was hoping it would catch his eye, and I was poised if it did, Martha. My response immediately would have been, welcome to the Trump 100 podcast, Mr. President.
Again.
Indeed. He definitely was in a chatty mood today. He spent a long time on the South Lawn speaking to a number of different reporters, clearly very pleased with what he says is the beginning of the end to a 10th global war on his watch. And yes, Martha, there is a ceasefire now in place, but the big question is, will it hold? That's really anyone's guess in a region that is very volatile and never straightforward.
Yeah, and worth remembering too that life doesn't just go back to normal for the Lebanese people now. Thousands of them have died in rocket strikes since the wider US-Iran war began. It really has been incredibly bleak, devastating there. Beirut, the capital, has seen buildings across the city turned to rubble. The south of Lebanon overnight really became a war zone. So a return to normality, not as simple as, just announcing it on Truth Social.
Absolutely not.